2020, y'all.
Yeah.
And it's different than when it was 2016. You know, the game has been elevated. As we can tell, there's no expense being spared. We had a black billionaire's lunch.
You're a sucker.
We're on video saying, ain't no party like a Diddy party. How many people like openly talked about being there?
LeBron?
Yeah, how Ashton Kutcher, all these people. Like, you guys all went, you didn't see nothing? You didn't see nothing? Yeah.
Donnell?
Yeah, we want to thank you. Come here. Don't sit on the bed at night. No homo. No, just don't get close to the bed. Don't get close. But it's just like, yo, we want to thank you for hosting the thing, man. It's been a pleasure. You didn't have to do it, and you did it.
No. I definitely didn't have to do it. I definitely didn't have to. First and foremost, I'm not getting in the bed. You know, shouts out to him and what he did. I'm just gonna, if we can, just let's just put the camera a little this way, just so we're not. I don't want my shot to even, like, I don't want it to come close to the bed at all.
These big deviants is all catching hell in 2024. It's up for all of them. It don't matter if you Diddy or whoever you is, TG Jakes, any of them. All lies will be exposed. That's all. And anyone who takes that the wrong way, know why they take it the wrong way. The truth is the light. Epstein-like characters have existed throughout history, whether they were kings or what, human beings are human beings universally. So everybody is a supplier. Epstein, Weinstein, like, these guys knew what these extremists liked and provided it, and provided the way for you to to have $1 billion and not create a fantasy island type environment has not existed throughout history.
Right.
Hater and you'll never have a hater that's doing better than you. Always know that. Don't get off the wall to dress so pity any ass boy who ain't got shit going for himself. Now you done stopped your climb up on the wall so you can come down here and talk to his little punk ass. Don't do that, man. I stay away from it. Now, do I want to? Yes. Because I'm a human being and I'm hood. I used to be a fighter and I still got hands. They slow, but if you get up on me real close, I can still knock your monkey ass out. I just don't have the quickness I have. But I still know how to turn my hip and shift that weight, and I'll knock your short out. I'll shoot your perm straight out your head.
Baby oil. All right. Praise the Lord, baby oil. Ever not include baby oil in your love life. You are missing one of the great inventions. Baby oil ain't really for babies. It's for your damn baby. It just go with everything. You can get baby oil on pizza. I done got it on pizza before. You taste it, you can't even hardly taste it. All around my mouth before. I don't even know what's on there.
Where Katt Williams comes from, you keep pointing at Hollywood. Hollywood this, the white man, this, and this. When do you take responsibility for your actions? You had the shot.
Katt was in that position at one point.
You were the guy.
Yeah.
You were set up to be the star. You didn't show up to work. You f***ed off promo shoots. You f***ed off your promo trips that they had set up for you. You became a risk to the studios, which is why the studios stopped f***ing with you.
Why was he a risk?
He chose.
Oh, okay.
Take responsibility for what you chose and say, you know what? I got to fix me. And I'm going to come back and I'm going to stand up for comedy. So when you say Tiffany Haddish doesn't deserve or isn't really a comedian and these other women have worked hard, which they have. Shouts out to Melanie Camacho. Shouts out to Lunel. Shouts out to Leslie Jones, who are all underneath the umbrella of Katt Williams. Katt Williams, have you ever used your platform to bring the people that were under you up? You haven't. So because you haven't, don't shit on those that now are. I've used my platform and I've brought my guys and girls up. The brand of Kevin Hart is a brand that's expanded so far, whether you like me or not. My presence in comedy will forever be felt because I'm a boss. I sit on the top of it, and the opportunities that I'm giving are the ones that I'm creating. So take responsibility for what you did. You. Nobody else did. You don't hear Chris Rock, Dave Chappelle, the Kings of Comedy, Seinfeld. You don't hear George Lopez, Eddie Griffin. You don't hear who else can I go down the road of other comedians? Steve Martin, Martin Short. You don't hear the guys that got on top and that made it by doing what they love complain about the people that are coming under them. The reason why is because they're happy with themselves. Don't blame everybody else for your shit. Don't shit on my sister Light because you're not happy with your shit.
In Hollywood, whispers usually stay whispers until someone decides to kick the door off the hinges. And right now, Katt Williams is doing exactly that, dragging old footage, half-forgotten quotes, and uncomfortable receipts back into the spotlight at a moment when the industry is already on edge. From elite parties everyone swore were harmless, to powerful names suddenly scrambling to distance themselves, this isn't just another celebrity rant. It's a warning shot. Because according to Katt, 2024 isn't about protecting legacies anymore. It's about exposing who's been hiding behind them. Hollywood isn't just nervous right now, it's exposed. Lawsuits are stacking up, sealed files are cracking open, and the same industry that once laughed off rumors is suddenly going silent. And in the middle of that silence, Katt Williams isn't talking again, he's escalating. This isn't the Katt from years ago throwing wild punches for attention. This is someone choosing his timing very carefully, stepping forward when power no longer feels untouchable and when denial doesn't land the way it used to. Because when Katt speaks now, it's not into a vacuum. It's into an industry already bracing for impact. What makes this moment different is that the safety net is gone. For decades, Hollywood survived on plausible deniability. Jokes disguised as truths, rumors buried under awards, and anyone who spoke too loudly written off as bitter, unstable, or jealous. But right now, that old playbook isn't working. The public is skeptical, the internet is ruthless, and federal language like enterprise and associates has people rereading old interviews with very new eyes. So when Katt Williams says the masks are coming off, it doesn't sound like comedy anymore. It sounds like a countdown. And Katt knows it. He's not naming names randomly or chasing headlines for shock value. He's positioning himself as someone who warned people before and was ignored, someone who watched others get praised while the same whispers followed them for years. That's why his tone has shifted. There's less joking, less exaggeration, and more certainty. He's not asking people to believe him. He's daring them to look back at what was already said, already filmed, already laughed at, and ask why it was dismissed in the first place. This is also happening at a moment when the industry can't afford another loose thread. One scandal has a way of pulling on others, and Katt's claims threaten to connect dots people were hoping would stay separate. Parties once brushed off as eccentric. Relationships explained away as mentorship. Silence reframed as discretion. In 2024, those explanations don't land the same. And Katt isn't introducing new questions. He's reopening old ones at the exact moment people are finally willing to listen. That's the real reason his words are hitting harder now. Not because he's louder, but because Hollywood is quieter. The usual defenses, PR statements, distraction headlines, strategic outrage aren't moving the needle like they used to. And when someone like Katt Williams steps forward during a moment of vulnerability, it forces an uncomfortable realization. Maybe he didn't suddenly decide to speak. Maybe the industry simply ran out of ways to drown him out. So this isn't just another celebrity rant making the rounds online. It's a stress test, a moment where timing, reputation, and fear collide. And whether people agree with Katt or not, one thing is clear. The industry he's calling out doesn't feel confident enough to laugh it off anymore. For years, those parties were treated like a punchline. Clips circulated online of celebrities laughing, bragging, half-joking about nights they couldn't fully describe, and the audience ate it up because it all felt harmless. Rich people being rich, famous people being excessive. Ain't no party like a Diddy party wasn't a warning, it was a flex. You had athletes, actors, comedians, and moguls openly admitting they were there, smiling through interviews, swearing nothing strange ever happened. And for a long time, that was enough. If everyone powerful showed up and nobody complained, then clearly it was just another elite playground, right? But looking back now, that footage doesn't feel funny anymore. It feels rehearsed. The laughter feels a little too loud, the denial's a little too quick, the joke's a little too defensive. What once came across as wild celebrity culture now reads like normalization, a way to make excess look ordinary so nobody asks uncomfortable questions. The same names kept popping up. The same inside jokes kept circulating. And anyone who hinted that something darker might be happening behind closed doors was dismissed as reaching, bitter, or desperate for attention. That's where Katt Williams flips the tone. Because when he talks about those spaces, he doesn't treat them like messy gossip or scandal fodder. He treats them like crime scenes people refuse to look at too closely. His warning isn't playful, and it isn't vague. It's sharp, almost biblical in its delivery. This idea that truth doesn't disappear, it waits. That everything done in the dark eventually demands daylight. And suddenly, the conversation shifts from who was at the party to why were so many powerful people comfortable pretending nothing was happening. That shift is what makes people uneasy. Katt isn't just revisiting old clips for shock value. He's reframing them. He's asking why certain jokes were allowed to linger, why certain behaviors were excused, and why so many people rush to say, I didn't see anything instead of nothing happened. Because those are very different statements. And once that distinction clicks, the humor drains out of the room. The real turning point, though, is when Katt takes this conversation somewhere it rarely goes, outside the usual comedy beefs and podcast drama, and lands on Joe Rogan's platform. That appearance is where things stop sounding like industry shade and start sounding like an indictment. No crowd to play to, no rivals to roast, just long-form conversation and carefully chosen words. This is where Katt stops talking about personalities and starts talking about systems, how power protects itself, how money insulates behavior, and how certain people don't just survive scandals, they're shielded from them. And once that door opens, the comparisons start to surface. Allegedly, carefully, Epstein's name enters the conversation not as a one-off monster, but as a template, someone who didn't operate alone, someone who thrived because powerful people benefited from his silence as much as his services. Katt doesn't say these figures are identical, but he suggests the structure is familiar. Suppliers, protectors, and participants all playing their role while the public sees only the surface-level success. That's what makes this moment heavier than gossip. Because if Epstein taught the world anything, it's that crimes don't exist in isolation at that level. They're enabled. And Katt's implication is chilling. That some of the same social mechanisms, private planes, exclusive gatherings, unspoken rules, may have been hiding in plain sight for years. Not proven, not fully exposed, but protected by disbelief. By the time Katt reaches this point, the story has completely changed. This isn't about who wore what, who attended which party, or who said something wild on camera. It's about whether the industry trained the public to laugh at clues instead of investigating them. And once that idea takes hold, it's hard to unsee. Because suddenly, those old clips don't feel nostalgic anymore. They feel like evidence people weren't ready to recognize at the time. Once Katt starts naming names, the tension shifts, and it's deliberate. He doesn't begin with the obvious targets or the people already trending. He starts with someone almost untouchable. Oprah, a figure so carefully protected that even questioning her role feels taboo. Katt doesn't shout accusations. He implies proximity, timing, silence. Old photos resurface. Old associations get replayed. And suddenly the internet is doing what it does best, connecting dots that were always there, but never encouraged to be examined. The reaction is instant and polarized. Some people rush to defend her legacy. Others ask why certain questions have never been answered clearly. No proof, no verdict, just discomfort. And that discomfort is the point. Then the energy escalates when Katt pivots to Steve Harvey, because this isn't distant speculation. This is personal history. Years of tension, years of side comments, years of unresolved beef suddenly re-enter the chat with new context. Clips of Steve joking, clips of Steve threatening, clips of Steve brushing things off with confidence flood timelines again. Katt paints him as someone who knows how the game works and chose to play it. Steve, meanwhile, doesn't address the deeper rumors. He addresses Katt. Anger replaces explanation. Threats replace clarity. And the audience notices that shift immediately. When someone responds emotionally instead of factually, it keeps people watching. Then comes Meek Mill, and the tone sharpens again. This isn't legacy power, it's modern exposure. Lawsuits, leaked audio, frantic social media responses. Meek doesn't stay silent. He reacts fast, loud, defensive. He denies everything, frames himself as untouchable, street certified, unapproachable. And yet the more he talks, the more attention it draws. Clips loop. Screenshots circulate. His reaction becomes part of the story instead of shutting it down. Katt doesn't have to say much here. The chaos speaks for itself. And viewers can't look away because this feels current, unstable, unresolved. Then Katt saves Kevin Hart for last. And that's intentional. Because Kevin represents the cleanest image, the biggest commercial success, the least controversial public persona. The accusations here aren't criminal. They're cultural. Industry favors. Career acceleration. Compromises made quietly. Old interviews resurface where Kevin promised boundaries, followed by clips where those boundaries suddenly blurred. Kevin responds the way a brand does. Measured, confident, reframing the narrative as personal choice and hard work. And that contrast matters. No meltdown. No panic. Just polish. Which raises a different question entirely. Who gets to respond calmly? And who doesn't? This is where the friction locks in. Katt claims exposure is coming. The celebrities deny, deflect, or redirect. Nobody actually resolves anything. There are no confessions, no lawsuits settled on camera, no clean endings. Just layers of tension stacked on top of each other. Viewers are left oscillating between belief and doubt, suspicion and loyalty. And that unresolved pull is exactly what keeps the conversation alive. Then Katt pulls back, and this is the moment everything connects. Different names, different reactions, same pattern. Silence until pressure hits. Power protecting itself. Loyalty rewarded. And anyone who spoke too early, too loudly, or without the right backing labeled unstable, crazy, or bitter. Suddenly, Jaguar right. Orlando Brown. Ollie Carter. People once laughed at start looking less ridiculous and more inconvenient. Not proven right, but no longer easily dismissed. And that's the most unsettling part. Not the allegations themselves, but how consistently the same playbook shows up. Who gets believed? Who gets buried? Who benefits when doubt is planted instead of answers given? Katt doesn't say he's the hero of this story. He positions himself as someone who survived it and decided not to play along anymore. By the time he finishes, it's clear he's holding back. The pauses last longer. The statements feel measured, like someone choosing what not to say just as carefully as what he does. And that's where the story ends, not with closure, but with a question hanging in the air. Is Katt done talking, or is this just the part he felt safe enough to say out loud? Because if history has taught us anything, it's that the loudest truths usually come right before the silence breaks.